Okay, so let's just settle into our meditation posture. And I just wanted to put this in the chat. If anybody wants to come along tomorrow to the prayers in accordance with the times, that's the link. So if you are interested, it's 7:00 our Pacific time. It is 8:00 your time, Mountain time. And must be 10:00 East Coast time. So if you do want to come along and do those Guru Rinpoche prayers and mantra, it's very sweet practice. All right, so that's there. So let's just settle into our meditation and just think. We're taking this as an opportunity before we go to bed to go inwards and reflect on our day and how we can serve ourselves and others a little bit better by being perhaps a little bit more functional in the way we think about ourselves and others. And this is a purification practice we're doing. We just want to clear away obstacles so our life runs kind of smoothly so that we can practice a little bit more easily. We have people in our lives who seem to have an awful lot of bad luck, huge amount of obstacles. Well, we don't want that in our life. So this is why we do this practice. So feet flat on the floor, if that's how you are sitting, and hips width apart. Sit right on top of your sits bones. Shoulders are aligned with the hips, and just lengthen the spine. Imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light, and you're stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head. And just imagine it's just lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Take a nice deep breath as you lengthen. And the head is very slightly tipped forward, eyes are down, looking along the length of the nose. The tip of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, and just relax the jaw. And bring the mind to the crown of the head and relax the scalp and the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the mouth, area at the back of the skull. Relax the throat. Let's go to the tongue, actually. Relax the back of the tongue, the temples, the ears. Relax the back of the neck, the shoulders, allow them to drop down. Relax the throat, the chest, and the belly. Take a nice deep breath. And just notice the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. And we're just turning our mind inwards. We're starting with the physical. Just notice the sensation, if there are any sounds in your environment. Our crickets have just started. They're a little bit later every night. A little bit earlier every night right now. And then just notice the thoughts that are arising in the mind. You can label them, put them in categories, perhaps. This helps us to put a little bit of space between ourselves and put a bit of space between ourselves and our thoughts and a bit of space in between the thoughts themselves. So it's not just this running commentary that's taking over us. And we can just imagine we're sitting on the bank of our river and just check the quality of the water. How's it looking to you this evening? And then just know that as long as you're sitting on the bank of the river, you're free from that river. So again, as we do every night, bring to mind the people of your life and take note if there's any new people there. Are there any new loved ones? Are there any new people that you don't like very much? Are there any strangers that you've become aware of? Or did someone you didn't like then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but over time become a stranger? And just imagine, due to impermanence, these relationships will change and shift within those categories of friend, of enemy, and of stranger, but they're also going to change place. It could happen at any time. And think that they're all equal. They wish to be happy and they wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for enlightenment. I think we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life and by extension, all sentient beings. And then think of the many, many people affected on Maui Island. It's just an ongoing thing. Brought to the surface many issues. We make strong prayers for there to be peace on that island and that everything can get resolved. And then as you move out into the world, many other folks are suffering enormously. So it just makes, most of us here are living fairly peaceful lives. So make strong wish for others to be able to be in that position as well. We have the luxury of being able to turn up to a Zoom session unimpeded. So I think there is no negativity that cannot be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. And we create negativity with our mind so we can equally change it by creating positivity instead. So we start with the power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives, and think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of the future suffering that we ourselves will experience. We know from our present suffering we don't want it. So logically, it makes sense to remove those karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others, and think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. And we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, who has the methods that we can use to purify. So we're not asking this Buddha to forgive us. We're not looking for a higher power. This is a Buddha from our tradition from the Buddhist tradition who has the methods that we can use to purify. So we're relying upon his methods. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. And you can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has this beautiful radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom. And the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened by this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva. May I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So here we have this little section on compassion, and it's also about reliance. So we need to rely upon other beings in order to develop compassion. The very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of someone you may have harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and just have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you will result as suffering for them in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all of these sentient beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. So now we come to the power of the remedy, and this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body, and imagine Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of all of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Karu Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you, and imagine all the inappropriate speech, not knowing what to say at what time, sort of somehow blurting all things out that aren't really quite needed at that time. Imagine all of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra. Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. Again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech, including yourself. So next is the purification of the mind, and Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's just the same as when you walk into a pitch black room and you flick on the switch, the light instantly dispels the darkness. So same here, the moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all our depression and attachment and neediness and grasping and anger and bitterness depression, resentment, jealousy, grudges, disappointment, all instantly dispelled, not one atom left. Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And then think there is no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So imagine Vajrasattva sending light and nectar. It fills you completely and eradicates even those subtlest imprints of negative energy. Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Tira Mebowa Sitokaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anurakta Mebowa Sabasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So now feel you're completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. So now we come to the power of the resolve and the fourth step in the purification process. It's a really important one. So here we make a decision, a determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind, or at least to refrain from harming or to think about it. And without this decision that we're going to make, is like, okay, I am not going to create harm to myself or others with my body, my speech, or my mind. If you don't make that decision, you're just going to keep wandering down the same old path, the same old habits, and nothing will ever change. So this determination, this aspiration becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new directions, more positive directions. So think of something that you would have been working on, would like to work on. Give yourself a reasonable timeline, maybe 5 seconds, a minute overnight while you're sleeping. And then just make a determination, and it gives us the strength to change. So Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wanting to merge with your mind, melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown, and think, my guru's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, my own body, speech, and mind are the same. They've kind of all merged. So next, Rinpoche would always recommend to meditate on the emptiness. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, just try and think about it for a moment. Place your mind there for a moment. Everything is like dependently arising. Nothing on our planet or in our universe or in our life is here without cause. Don't think of all phenomena as empty. They don't exist from their own side. We can also think that the way things are appearing to us may not necessarily be the way they exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this purification to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I have created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And so if you do have any teachers in your life, any people here are devoted to His Holiness, so then think, make a strong wish for His Holiness to live a long life. His Holiness said something about living another 20 years, I'm not sure, but anyway, make strong prayers that that would happen. And then think of your own teachers, and then think of Lamsa Rinpoche's swift return. I still haven't quite got around in my mind that Rinpoche is no longer here. So it feels a bit weird to wish for his swift return because I haven't quite got it into my head that he's no longer around. But anyway. So, okay, everybody, lots of love. Sleep well. Have a safe and happy weekend.